Okay. Hello, everyone. My research is on digital palimpsest, morphology of informal settlements, and multimodal data and ethnographic digital twin. I'm a PhD student at Tsinghua University, located in Shenzhen, and my supervisor is Professor Peter Russell. Um, this project is a work in progress, and I started my PhD 12 months ago. And in these 12 months, I've been focusing on this informal settlement in Hong Kong called Ta Lang Village. And what I've actually produced in the research, which I'm going to show you, is the contextual and environmental data and intangible data through working with the community in outreach programs and workshops. And my idea is to produce this digital twin, which is a transferable framework. So this ethnographic framework, I wish to transfer to potentially other sites. So first, I want to talk more about the historical layers of this village. This village is over 300 years old, and actually, it will be demolished at the end of this year. And there will be public housing which will replace this village. Um, so Hong Kong is a global metropolis that still contains many informal settlements which are slowly disappearing due to urban regeneration. Tagolang represents Kowloon's last major example. Its name derives from a charcoal plant traditionally used by Hakka settlers. Hakka are a sub group of Han Chinese known for their unique language, migratory history, and cultural traditions. The name Tagore is actually a Hakka pudding. It's questionable why this village has been called Chagolang. Maybe it's because of the trees that are growing and their leaves are used to make this dessert. And there have been other rumors that the hills behind the village remind the local residents that this is like a tagore, like a dessert. Um, in the 19th century, the Hakka fishing village turned granite and kaolin quarrying settlement faces complete demolition. So over time, this village has been transformed from a fishing village to a granite mining village, and the granite used has been exported uh, to China, to San Francisco. It is quite well known, and most of Hong Kong's colonial buildings actually used this material in the early 1900s. This area's significance began with its abundant granite deposits. Quarrying was a key activity in 19th century, intensifying the development of Hong Kong. This attached skilled Hakka migrants from Guangdong who formed a backbone of the local construction industry. Chagolan became a vital part of the Four Hills of Kowloon, a quarrying collective with its own administrative system. The granite extracted was used to build major landmarks in Hong Kong and beyond. The local economy transformed with the discovery of kaolin. Uh, it's a type of white clay to make porcelain, and it was highly sought after in countries such as Japan and Korea. Uh, Hong Kong Kaolin Clays and Kaolin Company operated for over 17 years. However, the industry declined as the clay deposits were depleted. Following World War II, Hong Kong saw a large influx of migrants from the mainland China. Tagoland became a refuge for many new arrivals, with its population peaking in the 1950s and 1970s. These residents built homes, forming a large settlement and supported by the city's burgeoning manufacturing sector through small factories and workshops. Changes in construction and technology and stricter regulations of the use of explosives for the mines were banned, and this created an the quarrying to be an economically unviable industry. Both the granite and kaolin industries are now gone. The land is increasingly occupied by the expanding community, shaping the Tagolang village that exists now. Basically, it becomes a transformation into an informal settlement through the lack of industry and the expanding population. The village is now slated for redevelopment for public housing. So, this slide is the 1962 plan view. The circle is a remnant of the mining period. This plan shows the 1972. I've located the Kowloon Walled City because I think everybody's kind of heard of that. And Kai Tak Airport runway, and then Tagolang Village, which is actually a very close triangulation of these three famous and infamous spaces. On the right, you can kind of see in Google Maps 2025 the location, and now the it's much more urbanized. Um, the population of Tagualeng at its peak was 20,000 people between 1950 and 1970. Um, the the plan to demolish the village and to reconstruct four towers, public towers, 2,400 units. The maximum capacity is only 4,000 people. So this view here is taken from the peak in Hong Kong Island, and the red arrow in the distance, that's the location of Tagolang. And next to it is Kai Tak, but it's no longer Kai Tak Airport, it's Kai Tak terminal, cruise terminal. This is a recent photo of the Kai Tak cruise terminal, which is near the Tagolang village, which I'm studying. And you can kind of see the runway actually, the terminal is actually sitting on the old airport runway. And in the distance, you have Central, the IFC building. The near the village, there has been a lot of infrastructure and reclamation, and this flyover connects to the perimeter of the village. So on the right-hand side, you can kind of see Victoria Harbour, and then the road next to the village on the right is this reclaimed land that used to be the sea. And then uh, you have the circled building, which I kind of circled a little bit earlier, which is the remnant of the mining uh, period of the village. This informal settlement the decision making to erase this village was a little bit premature, I think, because what's unique about this village is that due to the history of the granite mining industry, many of these houses were actually constructed of granite, and that was kind of unheard of in Hong Kong, as traditional vernacular houses were usually built with bricks or mud or rammed earth, and now concrete, timber. Only very prestigious projects were constructed with granite, such as some of the governmental colonial buildings in the past, but now most of them have been uh, erased and built with new glass skyscrapers. So we started exploring the village over 12 months and started taking photographic documentation of the terrestrial spaces, as well as drone and aerial documentation. And as you can see, this is one of the houses in the village. And it's really interesting that you have all these metal clad buildings, which you normally associate with informal settlements, but then you have all these granite structures popping out every so often. And then you have some remnants of colonial uh, uh, designs. This is some flights of stairs in the center of this village, kind of hidden. And then if you continue walking through, you have some double height village houses, and they're also constructed of granite. And I think the maintenance of the tiled pitched roofs were too expensive, and you basically have this tin and steel zinc uh, sheets, uh, basically covering as a new skin for these structures. And when the granite starts uh, starts crumbling, the residents use concrete to cover the surfaces. You can see that these are some pathways, and some structures have also overgrown above to create more space for the first floor. And you can kind of see the kind of makeshift patchwork of this adaptive steel panels covering the existing granite structures. The houses were the houses were not all granite. There were some newly built temporary houses by the new immigrants to the village, made of timber and metal. The moving through the pathways, there was a lack of space. So typically in Hong Kong, you start going vertical, and you have some formal planned staircases, and then you have some informal staircases, which they wanted more space, so they just built on top of a single-story house. And the residents actually negotiated how to do it and the costs and the permission. You can see that some of the steel panels have been removed, maybe because of the typhoons or it's slowly dilapidating. And you can see the cavity walls and the structures, how it's holding the building together, the facade, and also the interior finishes. if you look at these windows, these are quite old windows made of steel. So this, I would say that this informal house must be about 60, 50, 60 years old. And once you start moving up, some people or some of the residents utilize the rooftops as well as a breathing space. Uh, and you have also a very beautiful view looking back at Central. And then these are further structures that are moving to uh, 3 stories. And I think maybe the tallest structures that we've seen have moved to 4 to 5 stories. Um, the if you look at this on the left, the building with the prefabricated sheets, these windows are PVC aluminium windows, and these are kind of newer additions to the village. So previously I talked about the Hakka uh, residents that have moved in, and when the residents moved in, the Hakka settlers, they also brought their culture and traditions, and there is Tagoleng's a very famous village for having a dragon boat uh, team that actually won many of the races within Hong Kong. Dragon boats are ceremonial vessels raced during the Dragon Boat Festival to honor Ku Yuan and awaken the dragon spirits. Decorated with dragon heads, they symbolize water, strength, protection. Originally ritualistic, they now blend sport, culture, and mythology, celebrating resilience and community across Chinese-speaking regions. So because of the reclamation of the edges of this village, they no longer can continue with the dragon boat tradition. So around 20, 30 years ago, they brought this their winning boat and they've left it in the village for residents to view and for outsiders of the village and tourists to view as well. Within the village, many of the houses have um, this earth god guarding their homes, and it's a small a praying space, like a shrine that sits low near entrances with incense and offerings, giving protection and prosperity uh, revered in the South China and Taiwan. He's seen as approachable, watching over daily life and reporting to higher celestial powers. And there's also the door guard. You have many pictures of door guards, which are fierce warriors guarding, placed on the doors to protect homes from evil, uh, commonly depicted as the Tang generals Qin Shibao and Wu Qigong. And these images are renowned during the Lunar New Year. They symbolize strength, vigilance, and spiritual defense in Chinese folk religion and Taoist traditions. One time when we were visiting the village, the locals took their Kulin uh, uh, costume heads, and they were actually drying them because it was too damp, leaving it inside the houses. Um, the Kulin dance is a traditional Hakka dance, and a Kulin is a Chinese unicorn. Its performance symbolizes peace, prosperity, and virtue. It blends martial arts, and myths, featuring performers mimicking the movements of a mythical Kulin. The dance performed during festivals to bless communities with harmony, good harvest, and spiritual protection. Um, some other uh, interesting um, enterprises in the village. There are lots of almost private kitchens. Lots of their residents actually create their own businesses in selling different types of food for the villagers. But now it's 99%, they're all gone. I think there's only one or two that's still operating till the end of December. And then for our research, we also were lucky enough to access many of these houses. And this house, the residents have left, and you can kind of see that they may have had a birthday party, one last birthday party before they left. And all these doors are boarded up. But one of the residents allowed us to uh, visit through another entrance. Um, this is another view. Hong Kong recently had a couple of typhoons, and some of them were quite serious, and I think these windows got blown out. What's interesting that you can kind of see in the ceiling, they have this acoustic finish, and above it is actually a tin roof. So I think we got to find all these small details and material uses within these units. And then this is another view of a different area of the roof. Through further investigation of the village, we uh, also noticed that there was an interesting ecosystem that's uh, working within the village. And some of these houses closer to the back of the hill, they started integrating the hill and the nature into their spaces. Um, some of them created these kind of gardens and yards, growing uh, vegetables and fruit, dragon fruit, star fruit, papaya, data layers. So we we evolved the way of capturing the village from photography to using photogrammetry, and we explored using drones to uh, to 3D scan the village over a couple of weeks, and we managed to capture most of the village in a high resolution. And additionally to uh, using drones, we also, I mentioned earlier, we used terrestrial uh, scanning, and we individually scanned the paths and recorded all the facades of the village and the open spaces and pocket spaces within the village. This is a model that we started working with, combining all the different scanned uh, shots, and we put this into Blender to explore the spaces. This digital model allows us to investigate um, in much more detail, and especially that we don't actually have to be at the site all the time. We can just zoom in and explore the different structures from this aerial view, and then we can also use this model to cross-check some of the older maps and plans of the village through history to see which houses are newly built recently and which are the existing structures which would have formal government planning. This is a 3D scan from the ground. Um, Over the 12 months, we actually nearer the last 6 months, we managed to engage a few residents which kindly allowed us to place temperature and humidity sensors in their houses, and we explored um, positioning some of these sensors in different areas. Some of them are in residential areas, some of them are in open spaces and gardens and pathways to get an understanding of the microclimates within this village. Um, Myself and some student volunteers, which I was teaching, and a bunch of social workers, we formed teams to try to understand the villagers' thoughts, their stories about growing up in the village, and their history, an alternative history from themselves. Uh, and some of them have two or three generations that have been living in the village. It was a very revealing and a very important information that we gained to understand more about this village. We held some workshops in the nearby church. The church was kindly allowed us to use their space, and we conducted several workshops. There is a guy that's wearing a mask. He's actually not living in the village, but he grew up in the village. He's 92 years old, and he got the metro with the help of a friend, and he came to this workshop so that he can kind of tell his story and to allow us to document these kind of intangible stories that would not be written down in some sort of formal book or formal platform. Um, some of the residents uh, who were able to express themselves uh, in different ways to communicate. The last group that you saw in the church, it was more verbal. Some of them actually sung. Some of them actually produced these kind of drama reenactment because there were other kind of interested parties that also wanted to document because it's kind of quite a big issue in Hong Kong at the moment. Many people, many tourists are actually visiting this village at the moment just to take photos and to put them on their Instagram. And um, there were parties from amateur filmmaking groups and companies that were coming to also do their own workshops. So there was a period of very rich collaboration between different industries and their own methods of documentation. And so we also had some architectural workshops. Some could draw, some could make models, some could act, some could sing, some could actually just give a verbal story of their life. So some of the houses that we visited, we also 3D scanned the interiors and created very simplistic diagrams. Using this technology, we could actually speed up the process from a simple 80 square meter house. If we had to do it in a very traditional way and to use photography, we could be there for hours. But I think typically within 20, 30 minutes, we could document a house quite well. So this house doesn't have any windows in the ground floor, and it's a two-story house. How large is it? I think it was 100 square feet. Yes, I'm trying to remember. On the upper floor, you see where the washing machine is on the left. That location is over a pathway. And I think this kind of um, design language happens quite a lot in in the village where they overhang onto pathways and they usually stick their laundry and use it as storage. Not many of these spaces will be used for sleeping or gathering, typically because of the structural stability of these spaces. Um, we have many documentations of these houses, and this house was actually very strange. So when we do actually do this 3D scanning, a plan is kind of created. It's not 100% accurate, but I would say it's probably 85% accurate. It'll be much quicker than us doing a very traditional way of surveying. And then this is another type of house where there is one smaller space and then there is this kind of very long corridor connecting to the back space. And then we also explored uh, capturing pathways and some of these pocket spaces and open yards in the village. We also use this 3D scanning technique um, to help us understand these spaces post-site. Uh, that's the end of the um, lecture. So my contact is here. Um, and yes, if anyone wants to reach out to me, please do.